any free-to-air decoder with the following installation parameters: Intelsat 20 satellite with tuning frequency 12562 MHz, symbol rate 30 Mbps, orbital position 68.5 degree east, and horizontal polarization. You can also keep in touch with episodes of our programs via these social media platforms. For inquiries, please call 070-3265-6544 or mail us via enquiries@acnntv.com. ACNN, reaching the world with the undiluted Word of God.
News on the hour on the Advent Cable Network Nigeria Television, ACNN TV. Here are some of the major stories. Some clerics encourages Nigerians not to lose hope in God towards the state of the nation, as they are all important to God. As Carnival for Christ commences its revival service, Bishop Foreman of Jalingo Diocese says Christians should always seek help from God alone. South-South leaders demand restructuring of Nigeria through federalism to guarantee peace, security and stability of the nation. Now to the news and details. The Archbishop of the province of the Niger and the Bishop of the Diocese of Oka, Anglican Communion, His Grace, the Most Reverend Dr. Alexander Ibezim, has admonished Nigerians, most especially Christians, to trust God in spite of the challenging situation in Nigeria. Speaking with ACNN News correspondent Nwanne Ogechukwu in Abuja, the cleric warns that people should apply God's wisdom in every situation.
First of all, everybody is in one way or other affected. So this is advise Nigerians as a whole, especially believers, Christians. This is time for us to exercise patience, but to trust in what God can do, not what man can do. Because at times we apply human wisdom in many areas where God wants us to depend on Him, because this is really the time for God to do something. And I believe God is going to do something. People are not suffering in vain. You know, when people are pushed to the wall and there is no more space for them to move longer, that is where God will begin to intervene. So Nigerians must have faith and believe that God is going to intervene. You know, sorrow might come in the night, but in the morning there will be joy.
The former Vice Chancellor of Ajayi Crowther University, the Right Reverend Professor Dapo Asaju, has frowned over the happenings in the country and also condemned the leadership of the Nigerian government. Speaking in an interview with Nwanne Ogechukwu in Abuja, the bishop theologian stressed that everyone is important, hence the need for equal right for all.
We need equal rights anywhere we are, to build and to live peacefully anywhere, not somebody being the stranger in another part of this country. We need good roads. Does it take a big effort to do good roads? Even in Lagos, the roads have collapsed. Even in GRA, even in Ikoyi, the roads have collapsed. Governments are so irresponsible, and they're still devoted. They are stealing money in their thousands. Where are they taking this money to? And people are dying, people are in trouble, and they don't seem to care. They have not learned from their own lesson. I want to encourage our people to be steadfast, to encourage the youth that they have done the right thing. For the first time, Nigerians that are usually very very timid, people have the courage now to even come up. And they couldn't identify any cohesive leadership among the people, which is to let them understand they are sitting on a keg of gunpowder. Because if another uprising arises, it's going to be very terrible. Because people, not just the youth, people are going to rise up. Those who have fallen down have no need of any further fall. Nigerians have been taken for granted for too long. Go to Senate, go to House of Assembly, go to all these representatives. What are they doing? What laws are they passing that benefit the people? And they are earning so much salary. In the midst of these economic woes and COVID and everything, they are buying new cars, innovating their own so-called parliamentary buildings with billions of naira. That could have changed the lives of so many people. Nigerians are coming up with their consciousness. If only what we have learned during this uprising is for us to know that Nigerians can say no, enough is enough, and they can rise. If only they can know that the youth have a voice and they cannot continue to dominate, we have learned a lesson. I think we can face this country. My solution is that the government should be called to order, not to take the people for granted.
As the Diocese of Abuja marked its anniversary with Carnival for Christ programs, celebrating the faithfulness of God, in spite of all that has happened in the year 2020, the Abuja Diocesan faithful have been advised to always seek help from God alone, as it is through God that help comes from, urging them not to trust in man, because man can fail them. The Bishop of Jalingo Diocese of the Right Reverend Nedison Foreman made this known while speaking as a guest speaker at the Day 1 Carnival for Christ Revival service, which took place at St. James Church, Asokoro, Abuja.
Listen to me, God's people. Human help is worthless. Human help is worthless. In Psalm 108, verses 12 to 13, he said, give us help from trouble, for vain is the help of man. He said, through God we shall do valiantly, for he it is that shall tread down our enemies under feet. Your valiancy is through God and not through any man. That's why in Psalm 108 verse 8, he said it is better to trust in the Lord than to put confidence in princes. I would like you to know that there is no help in the devil. There is no help in man. There is no help in self. True and lasting help comes from God. It comes from God. That's why the psalmist said, I will lift up my eyes from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from the Lord. My help does not come from man. My help does not come from self. My help does not come from the devil. My help comes from the Lord that makes the heaven and the earth.
The coordinating Bishop Church of Nigeria North American Mission, CONAM, and Bishop of the Diocese of the West, Canada, the Right Reverend Dr. Felix Orji, has reiterated that the NSAS protest was necessary, needed, and timely, stressing that he is hopeful that the political civic leaders of Nigeria will take their responsibilities very seriously this time and help the poor and the needy. Speaking with Nwane Ogechukwu in Abuja, Bishop Orji urged Nigerians to be patient and prayerful because the existence of corruption will take some time to disengage from the country.
I'm really proud of Nigerians right now, and I've not been very proud of my country because of the inability to do things in a principled way. But I was happy with the End SARS protest. It was necessary, it was needed, and it was timely. So my hope is that the leadership, the political, civic leaders of this country will really take their civic political responsibility very seriously and help the poor and the needy in our country. So I'm hoping that the government will actually follow through and that we hold them accountable to follow through. But also for those who are not in leadership, those who are the down and under, to be patient. It's important to be patient. As we say, Rome was not built in a day. So the history of corruption, the persistence and the sort of almost a universal existence of corruption in Nigeria will take a long time to untangle. So let's be patient and prayerful, and then learn to be principled ourselves. You can't expect others to be principled when you are not.
A former Minister of Information in Nigeria, Professor Jerry Ghana, having been saddened by the meltdown in the economy and the tough times the ordinary citizens of Nigeria are made to go through, has tried to analyze the situation in Nigeria compared to other nations. He was speaking when caught up with Acnn TV crew in Abuja, where he admitted that economic meltdown is not peculiar in Nigeria, but he encouraged the government to make policies with compassion and consider the times.
Quite honestly, the situation of pressure on citizens is not only in Nigeria because of COVID-19. It's been a worldwide phenomenon, so that we see that even in more developed societies, in mature democracies, you find that government is going out of its way to help families to survive. Therefore, we'd like to take the opportunity of this gathering to plead with the Nigerian government that the primary duty of any government is the security and welfare of the people. If the families and the ordinary people collapse, there will be no country. So that certain policies, although they may be sound and correct, the timing is extremely important. We see that even in industrial economies, government is basically going out to allow companies and families to survive. So really the message to government that there should be some serious rethinking in terms of social safety nets, in terms of compassion, in terms of helping communities and private companies to survive. This is not the time to be having very severe policies on the ordinary people. Otherwise, some may just basically, collapse, and that will be the end of a number of families.
He also pleaded with Nigerians to remain calm and be patient with the government.
Secondly, we'd like our people to continue to be peaceful and orderly, because we cannot achieve any serious development and progress with violence of any kind. Therefore, those things are tough, or those things are difficult, we plead for patience, we plead for orderliness, but we plead for government to ensure security, safety, fairness, equity, and justice.
A senior KwaZulu-Natal priest has been appointed the executive head of the Anglican Church of Southern Africa. Archbishop Thabo Makgoba of Cape Town announced that the Venerable Dr. Makhosazana Nzimande will become the church's next provincial executive officer with effect from March 1st, 2021, saying the church is a province of the worldwide Anglican Communion in Southern Africa, comprising dioceses in Angola, Eswatini, Lesotho, Mozambique, Namibia, St. Helena, and South Africa, adding that Dr. Nzimande will replace the Venerable Horace Harness, who is retiring. Venerable Dr. Nzimande is currently rector of All Saints Lady Smith an Archdeacon of Utukela in the Anglican Diocese of Natal and holds a number of leadership positions internationally and locally. Among them, Vice Moderator of the World Council of Churches, Faith and Order Commission, a member of the Church's Provincial Liturgical Committee and the Advisory Board for Theological Education, and the Diocese of Natal as an Archdeacon and a member of the Diocesan Chapter and Board of Trustees. And still to come, U.S. to distribute 6.4 million COVID vaccine doses in first tranche. These and other stories after this break. Please stay tuned.
Worthy by design. On this show, we focus on the journey from girlhood to womanhood and everything in between. You are worthy by design.
Thanks for staying tuned. For more on our top stories, please visit our website at acnntv.com or our social media platforms on facebook.com or youtube.com/acnntv. And to be up to date with our news and other programs, download the VM Africa app from Android and iOS stores. And you can also advertise your goods and services on ACNN TV. And moving on, governors and people of the South-South geopolitical zone have demanded the restructuring of Nigeria in line with the principle of true federalism to guarantee peace, security and stability of the nation, saying the country is not at peace with itself and not working as it should, particularly for the people of the region. Governor Ifeanyi Okowa of Delta State, who is the chairman of the South-South Governors Forum, stated this as the position of the zone during the regional stakeholders meeting with a presidential delegation. This followed an initial meeting which failed to hold as a result of an emergency national security meeting. The delegation, led by the Chief of Staff to the President, Professor Ibrahim Gambari, met with the governors and other leaders of the region at the Government House in Port Harcourt, the Rivers State capital. Governor Okowa informed the delegation that the people of the South-South were committed to the restructuring of the country in a way that would guarantee true federalism and devolution of powers to the states to create and manage their own police and security architecture under a federal structure, and called for true federalism guided by principle of derivation, revenue sharing and control of resources by each state of the federation, as it was the case in the First Republic. The United States planned to distribute 6.4 million doses of Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine in the first week after it is cleared for emergency use, which is likely next month. A committee of the Food and Drug Administration meets on December 10 to decide whether to greenlight the medicine, with the U.S. confronted by soaring numbers of deaths and new cases. Latest figures show that the country had recorded over 259,600 COVID deaths and 167,000 new cases. General Guterres Perner, Chief Operations Officer for the government's Operation Warp Speed, told reporters some 40 million doses of vaccine will be available by the end of December. That figure includes another vaccine developed by Moderna and the National Institute for Health, which announced some preliminary efficacy results last week and is also close to applying for emergency approval. And now to sports. Erling Braut Haaland broke yet another Champions League record as he fired Borussia Dortmund a step closer to the knockout stages with 2 goals in a 3-0 win over Club Brugge. Haaland's 18-minute opener against Brugge saw him reach 15 Champions League goals in fewer games than any other player in the competition's history. The 20-year-old Norwegian hit the milestone in June 12 in just 12 appearances, smashing the previous record of 19 games held by Ruud van Nistelrooy and Roberto Soldado. Haaland added another in the second half to take his tally to 16, as he and Dortmund annihilated Brugge to defend top spot in Group F and move within touching distance of qualification for the second round. With 2 games to go, Lucien Favre's side are now 5 points clear of third place and a point ahead of second place Lazio, who beat Zenit St. Petersburg 3-1 on Tuesday. Manchester City manager Pep Guardiola says he will not rush Sergio Aguero back into action, despite his side's lack of goals in the Premier League. City's record goal scorer was an unused substitute in Saturday's 2-0 defeat at Tottenham, as he nears a return from his latest injury problem. The 32-year-old Argentine missed the end of last season and the start of the current campaign after undergoing knee surgery in June. He has since had another layoff after suffering a hamstring injury last month. City have scored just 10 goals in 8 top-flight matches this season, though their strike record in Europe is more impressive, with 9 goals in the 3 games. And before we go, a recap of the major stories. A cleric encourages Nigerians not to lose hope in God towards the state of the nation, as they are all important to him. As Carnival for Christ commences its revival service, Bishop Foreman of Jalingo Diocese says Christians should always seek help from God alone. South-South leaders demand restructuring of Nigeria through federalism to guarantee peace, security and stability of the nation. And that is it on the News on the Hour. Thanks for watching. I am Rachel Ibuni.
Thank you, and thank you profusely for watching. I am Udusho Taiwo. Please mend it. Don't end it in a hurry. God bless you.